Mayor Mendenhall will present this proposed Salt Lake City budget, including the library fund, for fiscal year 2025-26. Welcome, Mayor, and the floor is yours.
Is that better? Okay. Thank you, City Council, and thank you also for excusing my hoarse voice this evening, as my voice just came back. Good evening, council members, council staff, our city team, and my fellow Salt Lakers. Thank you all for being here tonight or tuning in from home as I present my recommended budget for the upcoming 2026 fiscal year. This is my 6th budget proposal, but in many ways it feels like the first of its kind since the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic. Much like our 2021 fiscal year budget, this year's budget proposal is shaped by economic uncertainty, not just for our residents here in the city, but far beyond. Stock markets are volatile. Prices are increasing. Tariffs are fluctuating. The consumer sentiment index is in decline. And yet, despite all this, incredible things are happening right here in our city. We are doubling down on our commitments to public safety. We're strengthening our infrastructure. We are continuing historic investments in affordable housing. And I can say with confidence that this budget proposal allows these efforts to continue steadily, reliably, and responsibly. But this proposal also reflects the reality our residents are living every day. It reflects the uncertainty of our small businesses who aren't sure if they'll be able to retain their hardworking staff at the wages they deserve. It reflects the strain on our working parents who balance increasing childcare costs on top of everything else in their households. It reflects the pressure on our local restaurants who find themselves grappling with skyrocketing expenses. This is a landscape that has demanded our utmost care and attention during the budgeting process. And I'm proud to say that no uncertainty will prevent this city from doing what we do best, taking care of our residents and keeping them safe, taking care of our streets and our infrastructure, and taking care of our own employees. This proposal is prudent and sensible, built with discipline at each and every level. And to be transparent with you, it is a nearly entirely flat budget because I am committed to not increasing the burden our residents are already feeling due to federal pressures and global economic headwinds. This year, I am proposing a general fund budget of $512,471,524. This is a 6.7 increase from last year's adopted general fund budget. I recognize that that 6.7% may sound like a significant increase, especially in a budget that I have just described as nearly flat. But it's important to be clear, this increase is driven almost entirely by inflation and the rising cost of maintaining the services and the infrastructure we already have. In practical terms, this budget maintains our baseline, only expanding when it comes to key public safety investments. Importantly, there are no major tax increases in this balanced budget, including no property tax increase. However, as I have said before in previous budget presentations, we have known for some time that a property tax adjustment will eventually be necessary. This year, thanks to careful budgeting and many difficult decisions, we've been able to avoid it. Looking ahead to the next fiscal year, it's unlikely we will be able to meet the demands of our growing city without one. When that time comes, we will approach the decision with the same discipline and responsibility we've shown in this proposal. Next week, the state's foremost economist, Natalie Gochner, will join us in your council meeting to present a detailed and thorough economic forecast. Her insight will help us better understand how our short and medium-term financial models have helped shape this planning process. I want to thank Natalie for consulting with my team in our budget building. What I want to make clear tonight is this. Our ability to balance this year's budget without new taxes is a direct result of really extraordinary work done by our city departments. They have dug deep, consolidating, cutting costs, and finding creative ways to do more with less. I wish that every Salt Laker could see just how hard they worked to make this possible. I wish I could show our residents, the city employees who came together, analyzed our employees' health plans, and identified what worked and what didn't as our insurance costs continue to climb. Over several months of work, of democratic process and meetings, they reduced that cost increase from nearly 11% to 7%. And I want to extend a sincere thank you to our benefits team for making that possible. I wish I could show our residents the ingenuity of our fire department. Chief Lieb, thank you for being here tonight. Our fire department is utilizing graduate student internships to fill social work needs and supplement our current chat team. Not only does this prevent increased costs associated with hiring more staff, but it also fulfills a mandatory graduation requirement that builds a stronger pipeline between grad schools and these students' future careers. I wish I could show our residents the resilience of our Community and Neighborhoods Department, which refused to cut youth programs even after federal grant funding for elementary school programming ended, because we know that a cut like that would mean serious cost increases for families. They were able to repurpose other funds, keep the program on its feet, and even expand it to include a pilot program for teens. These are not small adjustments. They're meaningful acts of stewardship that ensure we can maintain the services our residents rely on without increasing financial pressure. This budget leaves no stone unturned when it comes to keeping our residents safe, lowering costs, and finding creative solutions to even the most complex obstacles. No amount of uncertainty will change who we are or how we serve. That's my duty. It's our duty to our residents. It's a promise that I vow to keep. Part of that promise is ensuring Salt Lakers feel safe and supported in their neighborhoods. To be clear, overall citywide crime is down 5% from last year and 15% below the 3-year average. Officer proactivity is up 17% from last year. And under the leadership of our new police chief, Brian Redd, thank you for being here tonight. Our police department is entering a new era of effectiveness and collaboration. But as long as even one resident feels unsafe in their neighborhood, our work is not done. In January, we released the Salt Lake City Public Safety Plan. It includes 27 specific city actions, and in less than 4 months, 8 of these are already complete, with the remaining 19 underway. This budget directly supports the completion of 7 more, representing $3.9 million in total proposed funding. That includes $550,000 for crime monitoring and response technology. These are state-of-the-art tools, including drones and real-time data that will help officers work more efficiently and proactively. It also proposes over $500,000 in funding to add overnight security at several city parks, including Allen, Cottonwood, Fairmont, Glendale, Herman Franks, Jordan, and Liberty Parks, plus the International Peace Gardens and the Jordan River Trail between all of these parks. These investments complement the $5.2 million for new police, fire, and street maintenance vehicles that you are already considering right now in Budget Amendment 5, which was presented several weeks ago. By moving these funds from fiscal year 26, which we'd intended to do, into fiscal year 25, we're hoping to avoid the rising costs driven by federal tariffs. This is yet another example of how our teams are applying creative thinking to protect public funds. A significant portion of this budget also goes toward creating our new Clean City team. It's a dedicated crew within Public Services Department that will address conditions that can lead to crime, like graffiti, abandoned property, trash, poor lighting, and neglected public spaces. I want to emphasize that this clean team is such a priority that the only new positions we are proposing in this budget are for this team. The addition of just 5 total FTEs across the entire general fund. That's it. Our clean team will focus their efforts specifically around North Temple and the Jordan River Trail, 2 corridors where the need is clear and the opportunity for transformation is significant. These efforts are doubly important both for our West Side residents and wetland ecosystems they border. I want to be clear that I will not allow the scourge of drugs and illicit activity to plague our neighborhoods. I have instructed Chief Red to use all means necessary to eradicate drug dealing from the areas along the trail, North Temple, and nearby parks, and root out the criminals who prey upon the vulnerable among us and our entire community. Our residents have spoken, and we are acting with urgency when it comes to both the safety and the beauty of our city. I want to thank every resident who has met with me over the past few months, and thank you, Councilmember Petro, for arranging so many of those meetings. Our residents shared their experiences, their frustrations, and their ideas. We heard you, and we will do better. And while these efforts span the entire city, we know our responsibility is greatest in the neighborhoods that haven't always received their fair share. We will do better for our West Side, which, as I've said for years, has historically faced systemic underinvestment from this city. I'm proud to share that this budget includes over $2.7 million in West Side-focused investments, from parks and green spaces to safety improvements and street lighting. That includes $680,000 in our capital improvement to replace Rose Park Lane Trail with an asphalt pathway to make it fully accessible to people of all abilities. That funding also enables the planting of more than 100 trees along that section of trail. This funding includes $400,000 for Fisher Mansion, a historic jewel along Jordan River corridor with enormous potential for activation. These funds will help build on our past investments, which did seismic repairs, and now we're prepared to make key building improvements that pave the way for public-private partnerships and year-round activation. By this time next year, those improvements will be complete, and we will begin an RFP process to identify tenants who are ready to bring Fisher Mansion back to life. This budget also proposes an additional $120,000 in ongoing funding to continue supporting UTA On Demand, a resource that has proven essential to West Side residents, albeit one that is becoming increasingly costly to maintain due to inflation. This proposal prioritizes the safety of our streets, not just for cars, but also for pedestrians, bikers, and public transit users. 2 years ago, Salt Lake City became Utah's first Vision Zero city, with the ambitious goal of achieving 0 fatalities or serious injuries on our streets by 2035. This year's budget includes $2.3 million for Vision Zero safety improvements to 3 major streets: Redwood Road, 900 West, and 800 South. These streets are wide, straight, and fast, and historic data shows they have significantly higher crash rates than most other city roads. The proposed funding will go toward a variety of safety improvements, such as upgrading crosswalks, intersections, and fixing broken or missing sidewalks. These targeted, data-driven interventions will make this city safer for everyone without sacrificing traffic flow and efficiency. This work is essential because our streets and sidewalks are the bones of our city. And like any strong structure, they require ongoing care. That's why this budget also proposes an additional $300,000 in annual ongoing investment for street maintenance. These investments not only improve safety, they save residents money, preventing car damage from potholes, reducing crash risk, and protecting long-term infrastructure value. I want to thank our transportation team, our engineers, and our local advocates who envision a safer future for everyone who uses our roads, streets, and byways, and who also hold us accountable when we can improve. And if our streets are the bones of our city, then our pipes and water system are the veins, circulating clean water to homes and businesses and moving wastewater safely out. To keep these services working in the way our growing city demands, we must increase rates for water, sewer, stormwater, and street lighting infrastructure, which in total will amount to about $10 a month for low water users. We will also implement a small waste and recycling rate change, about a $3 increase per month for most residential bins. These increases have been long planned and will ensure that when our residents turn on their faucets, clean water will run through their pipes. And when their trash and recycling bins are full, we will be there to pick them up. Across all of our work, from water and parks to our own city buildings, we are constantly looking for ways to be more sustainable for our air, for our Great Salt Lake, and for our earth. We've already had a wonderful start to spring over the past month, with dozens of volunteers joining us during Earth Day and Arbor Day celebrations to plant hundreds of trees. In just the past 6 months, we have planted 1,850 trees across the city. We will plant 150 more by the end of May. That is 2,000 new trees that will grow alongside our communities, cleaning our air and providing shade to our parks and our green spaces. It also means that for the 6th year in a row, we will once again fulfill my promise to plant an additional 1,000 trees on our city's west side every year. Speaking of green, this budget follows up on the commitment I made in January during my State of the City address and proposes $3 million in capital improvement dollars for the first phase of the Green Loop. As summer approaches, it's easier than ever to imagine how much a civic center will transform this block just outside City Hall. It's already the heart of so many of our city's biggest gatherings, but the Civic Center will transform it into something more, a true front yard for Salt Lake City, a third space where we will mingle, play, celebrate, and connect. 2 weekends ago, Salt Lake City Marathon's finish line set up right outside this building on 2nd East for the 12th year in a row. I was here as more than 10,000 runners crossed that line and then immediately flocked to the patches of shade across Washington Square with their families and supporters. Imagine how much more magical a moment like that will be when their final stretch is shady and lined with trees. Think about living traditions just 10 days from today, when we will celebrate the diversity of cultures and flavors that have become synonymous with spring at Library Square. Or next month, when the Pride Festival brings thousands here to celebrate belonging and togetherness in a literal rainbow of colors. Imagine how much more connected these events will feel when 2nd East is no longer a wide expanse of asphalt, but a seamless flow of pathways and gathering spaces. She's excited too. And in just 8 years and 9 months, the 2034 Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games will bring thousands of athletes and visitors to our doorstep. Imagine how much more intentional our city will feel when the world arrives to experience our new front yard and the rest of the Green Loop as part of their journey through downtown and between venues. The games will once again be a catalyst for our capital city, which is why this budget includes $200,000 from my mayor's office budget to kick off our legacy funding. This investment begins our intentional work to ensure the games leave lasting benefits for Salt Lakers long after the torch is extinguished. I've said this before, but I believe it bears repeating as 2034 gets closer and closer. When it comes to the games, we are not just planners of an event, we are architects of a legacy. Of course, we're still going to gather as a community, celebrate togetherness, and attend events in the meantime. You may have heard that every weekend in June, Open Streets will once again transform Main Street, turning a four-block stretch from South Temple to 400 South into a pedestrian promenade and expanding outdoor patios. And later this summer, for the first time ever, the Salt Lake City Arts Council is expanding Twilight Concert Series. This year, both Gallivan Center and Library Square will host performances, expanding the capacity of these highly popular and affordable concerts. Both Open Streets and Twilight are beloved community events that truly bring Salt Lake City to life, and they interject economic activity into downtown businesses and restaurants. This budget proposal moves these funds from one-time yearly investments to ongoing funding, ensuring that they're part of our city culture lasts for years to come. We're making a firm, sustained investment in these programs because we believe in their power to bring people together across our city. Access to the arts and shared cultural experiences shouldn't be a luxury. It should be part of what every resident comes to expect and appreciate from their city. It's part of why people love living here. And when we love a place, we invest in its long-term livability. For Salt Lakers, that often means caring about our air and the steps we can make to make it cleaner. Over the past 6 years, we've been able to reduce air pollution through our fleet as we transform more and more city vehicles to electric. In fact, we've made so much progress that if we want to continue, we need more places to charge them. With our recently completed electric fleet study, we now know how much and where charging infrastructure is needed. That's why this budget proposes $1 million in capital improvement funds for electric vehicle charging stations at the Public Safety Building. These stations will support the continued transition to clean vehicles for our police, fire, and emergency management personnel. Because investing in sustainability also means investing in the infrastructure to support it. Of course, our investments must extend beyond clean energy and electric vehicles to the human side of sustainability. And no matter how green a city becomes, it cannot thrive if its people can't afford to live here. Every year since the beginning of my administration, we have invested millions of dollars in affordable housing across the city through preservation and new construction. But this year, I've asked that we make a more targeted commitment to fund housing that is truly, deeply affordable. In January, I pledged to dedicate $5 million toward deeply affordable housing in this year's budget. This proposal fulfills that promise. Both the Community Reinvestment Agency and our Community and Neighborhoods Department will contribute $2.5 million to this commitment. These dollars will go directly toward increasing housing options for those most in need, residents earning at or below 30% of the area median income, or what equates to about $36,000 per year for a family of 4. Because we know that when housing becomes unattainable for our lowest income residents, the consequences ripple across the entire community. It's easy to talk about these efforts in terms of numbers and figures, but affordability isn't just a statistic. It's a person's ability to stay in their home. It's whether a student can afford rent and tuition. It's whether our essential workers can raise their families in the same city where they serve. Housing stability creates community stability. And this investment is one way we're protecting that stability, not just for those in crisis, but for the health and the future of Salt Lake City as a whole. Just as we're committed to caring for our residents, we're equally committed to caring for the people who serve them. Our city employees are the backbone of every service we provide, every pothole that we fix, and each resource we depend upon. This year's budget proposes a 4% cost of living salary adjustment for all non-represented employees in recognition of the rising costs every household is facing. This increase builds on the market-based wage corrections that we've made in recent years, and it reinforces our commitment to staying competitive, even in a challenging budget year, even when legislative action threatens our employees' ability to negotiate with their unions. Salt Lake City currently negotiates with 3 employee unions, but only our local police union had a contract set to expire this year. We are proud to have reached a signed memorandum of understanding with the Salt Lake Police Association last month, solidifying an agreement that will be in place for the next 3 years. I'm optimistic that voters will get the chance to reinforce to the legislature that unions are good for working families. Additionally, my administration is exploring all options for protecting our employees, regardless of what happens on the ballot or on the Hill. Salt Lake City's culture of collaboration and respect will not be undone by legislation. We'll keep taking care of our city team, and we will keep listening to them. Tomorrow morning, we're holding an employee town hall focused on this budget and any questions our employees may have. An open forum designed to listen, engage, and build a stronger relationship between leadership and the people who power our city. Our city team of nearly 4,000 public servants is the heartbeat of this city. In every department, in every neighborhood, their work matters, and so does their well-being. Before we shifted to budget matters tonight, I shared a proposal to adopt 3 new city flags, 3 new symbols of our shared values and our unity. I want to be clear. I believe that these values are reflective of our national values. Our new city flags will never replace or diminish our American flag, which we will still fly proudly, always on Washington Square. To our city council members, I hope you'll join me in supporting this initiative by voting to approve these flags tonight. And in case there's anyone listening now who missed it, I want to reiterate an important message to our residents. One that is relevant to not only our city symbols or our budget, but everything we do for you. Our city is here for you. Everything I've said tonight during this speech and earlier is about keeping Salt Lake City dependable. That's our job. It's our promise. No matter what happens, we are not changing who we are. We're not backing away from our responsibilities or our values that define this city, even as fear and instability ripple across this nation. We are steady. We are present. We are here for you. In good years and in hard years, Salt Lake City shows up. We care and we lead with purpose. This budget is a reflection of that commitment. It's not flashy, but it is strong, and it's built to protect what matters most. Thank you again, council members and council staff, for the work that you will do over the next several weeks to carefully consider and finalize this budget. I look forward to working with you, and thank you for listening.